adjustments. I do recognize that it's incredibly dark and the quality's poor and all of that. Let me go see if I can increase the brightness by. There we go, my bright screen. That'll help a little bit. So I always try to put something out at the end of the year, some thoughts. Normally, a lot of channels would put out a compilation, and that was part of the plan. Actually, I was going to continue going live. Uh, oh shoot, I should do a sound check. I'm sorry. I just realized, like, for all I know, maybe nobody can hear me right now. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna patch this through real quick. Fantastic. No, I can be heard. That's good. Okay, so yeah, we were gonna keep going live and putting out comps, but then we got sick. I think what we got is viral tonsillitis. Um, it's responding very well to vitamin C, so that's cool. Uh, and it's nice. We're not suffering with fever. I did wear this beanie because we can do a lot of the things we normally do, but it's like we have very small batteries, right? We run out of energy quicker. So it can make things unpredictable. Maybe we'll have enough energy to do X, Y, Z. Maybe we only get through X, and then it's like, well, we need to sit and kind of tune down for a little bit. But this actually isn't to tell you guys about that, so it's not super important. Um, pardon me. So there's been like a lot of rain this year, and I don't mean like water. In some places there has been a lot of water, in other places not so much. It's there's been some shifting going around, but uh, I mean maybe like emotional rain, right? There's been things that have been painful, and there's been, instead of rain we can just sip in the word pain. There's been a lot of pain to go around this year. Uh, I don't know anyone that's immune to what's been going on. I should apologize. I have a lozenge. Actually, in case anybody else gets this, I don't think I have it here with me, but I think it's made by Halls, and it's like some extreme thing. It's got 20 milligrams or micrograms of menthol in it. Vapocool, Vicks. Uh, these are awesome. Even when my throat feels poor, if I just inhale, it just cools everything off. It's a godsend. Anyway, back to what I was saying. It's been a very painful year for a lot of people. Uh, probably probably almost everybody that's watching right now, right, or that will watch in the future. Um, not the entire year. I mean, there's always highlights, but as far as like lowlights and whatnot, it's been painful. Things have been hard. Uh, and when I write stories or when I'm telling you guys about some exciting legends or some crazy ideas that I've come up with, theories or different things that I at one point thought were impossible, and then it turns out that it's a little more possible than I anticipated, right? Um, I do my best to not let any of that pain come through, right? I don't want the channel to be a place where we just go about and talk about all the reasons why things are so difficult right now. That's not the place where I want to be. The cabin is a place where even when it's raining outside, we're dry in here, and I'm the same way with the channel, Super Horror Show. Even though there's all kinds of craziness and I can't even really get into it. I really don't want to. But despite all the terrible things that are going on, things can be more normal here, right? Uh, and so while thinking about this, because I reflect on my birthday and I reflect on New Year's. They happen to be very close to each other. I was born in November. Uh, pardon me. But that is a time to reflect. So on my birthday, I think about, what I've done that year, maybe things that I want to practice harder, maybe things I wish I did not practice, right? Um, and that's good. We should evaluate ourselves. But then at the end of the year, well, I take inventory of a lot of other people's lives, right? I mean, to be fair, a lot of us, we see friends and family around the holidays, and uh, a lot of them I do get to see around Thanksgiving, which again is very close to my birthday. But there's more holiday in December, right? There's more holiday per holiday in December. So, pardon me, I'm exposed. Also, when you're buying gifts for people, you're mindful of the people in your life, right? Because you're thinking about them. You're buying them presents. Um, so this year I had a lot to celebrate. Um, Technically, I it's my brother's brother-in-law. He might also be my brother-in-law then. I don't know how that works, but we've known each other since I was 10 years old. And his brother was away for a time, and he's back now. And I'm very grateful for that, because uh, for a while we lived together. Like, he lived with my mom, like at my mom's house. And so uh, there's a lot of brotherly love between the two of us, because we got to spend months. Acid Kick 96. What's going on? All right, we got a Christmas tree and a skunk, and I don't know what that is. Are you upset that my tree is up? I'm allowed to have that up until tomorrow. I'm allowed to have that one up until tomorrow. But anyhow, so I was thinking about these things, and about how, especially with the way everything has been going, it's important that we keep our minds focused on what it means to win. And we also have a very functional definition of what it is to lose, right? And while reflecting on this, I thought about the book Mouse. Actually, this is Mouse 1 and Mouse 2. My family are spread out from Alaska to North Carolina, and I'm in between, so I don't get to see mine hardly. Later, right? Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Alaska's such a beautiful place, so Sammy and I talk about one day visiting Alaska. Actually, we talk about, I think it's Michigan, like the very tip north of Michigan, there's an island there, and there's not much on that island. And sometimes we daydream about that island in the snow. Our dogs, being part husky, man, they love the cold. Jill will dip her face right in the cold, and yeah, Alaska, what a beautiful place. I remember also Bob Ross, he would talk about Alaska all the time. He'd say that, God was having a good day when he made Alaska. Uh, One day I will get the opportunity to go. So, like I was saying, the book Mouse. I think it's the second book. I haven't reread Mouse in a while. Mouse is a very easy. If you don't know, it is a comic book retelling of Art Spiegelman, the author, his father's story of World War II. Uh, they're Jewish, in case you couldn't tell by Spiegelman, and his father survived the concentration camp. So it's a very very interesting read. It's very realistic. I remember one part where he was talking about where the ideal spot for food was in the line. If you were there first, you would just get whatever broth or water was on top. And if you were too far back in the line, there'd be nothing left. You had to be right at the right spot of the line to make sure you got some of the food content right from the pot, not just water, but also didn't end up with nothing. And when I first read Mouse, I was like, it is brilliant and heartbreaking at the same time. Like the amount of, I guess, survival instincts, right? Because who was prepared for that? The amount of survival instincts you would need were phenomenal. right? I mean, he could have been lucky maybe and one day just ended up in the right position early on and then realized the people in the beginning didn't get and the people at the end didn't get. That's possible. But now, because I've read Mouse, I've been able to take in that experience, and I hope that something like that never happens again. But if it does, I have that knowledge in my head where it's like I have to be very mindful of where I exist on this line. And I mean, think about it. For me, that's a hypothetical. For us, that's a hypothetical. Uh, but for him, that was not a hypothetical. That was he had to jockey for position all the time. All right. Lady Ryder says her daughter is in the Fairbanks area and says it's 11 degrees. Really? Fairbanks, California? No, Fairbanks, Alaska. I'm an idiot. Oh man, sorry about that. You just it's because I'm not well. We're gonna blame every mistake that I make on me not being 100. Sandy, how are you doing? So in Mouse, there's one part where Art Spiegelman is talking to his, I guess it's a psychiatrist or a therapist or something, and he talks about how his dad beat or won the concentration camps, right? Because he made it out alive. So uh, I believe the therapist was also a survivor um, of the camps, and so he said, "Do you so you think surviving the camps makes you a winner?" And Art said, and again, this is me paraphrasing, but essentially he agrees with them. Yeah, you know, uh, how could you be if you survive the camps? You definitely can't be a loser. And so the therapist says, so all those people that died, are they losers? And then Art Spiegelman had to reevaluate the way that he was internalizing this data. Um, Not surviving Auschwitz did not make you a loser, or does not make you a loser. That's not a failure on someone's part. They were overwhelmed, right? Um, and now we've had a very warm winter so far. A couple years ago, we had a wicked snowstorm. I don't know how many feet of snow we got, but the snow was above my groin when I got home. It took me, gosh, I don't know, maybe 11 hours to drive 20 minutes. Uh, there were so many, the trees came down, and people in cities, they like to make fun of rednecks. I'm sure, I'm sure if you're in the city, you know what I'm talking about. And if you're a redneck, you've probably heard some of this. Uh, I got home, and I don't consider myself, I consider myself someone from Pennsylvania. And I've lived in Pennsylvania uh, now just as long as I've lived in New York, and my entire adult life, less 2 or 3 years. If you count being adult at 17, I dropped out of high school, so I was, I guess, kind of adultish. Less those 3 years, my entire adult life has been spent in Pennsylvania. I watched these people jump out of their trucks with their chainsaws, and I have a chainsaw, but I wasn't in my truck. Start chopping trees up that came down in the middle of the road, and like it was incredible because of those people and their chainsaws. I got home. You better believe after that, every time it snowed, I put my Farm Boss chainsaw in the back of my truck. I don't have a truck anymore. Now it goes in the back of the car. But I am prepared to deal with all kinds of craziness now. Anyway, that year with the snow and the cold, it's very sad. We lost power for pardon me, about 3 weeks. Uh, a lot of a lot of people died in that time. There were a couple of people that uh, stood in their car and left the heaters turned on. Like they got stuck in the snow and they didn't remove the snow from their exhaust. So I guess that's carbon monoxide poisoning, right? Um, and that was the night of the big storm. But there were also a number of people that froze to death because they didn't have electricity, right? You need electricity to run your propane heater because there's like you have to get it started. I think it takes a little bit of juice to keep it running, and or if you have baseboard heating or some other electric heating, you need the electric heat. Excuse me. But yeah, sadly, a lot of people passed away. Uh, we use we have a wood stove here, so we were okay, and I could lose power forever. It would stop me from going online and talking to you fine people, but I can cook and I can get heat and all kinds of things from that stove. So um, these people that died in the because of that snowstorm and not having electricity, much like in Mouse, those people, those aren't losers. Did I beat the storm? Did those of us that came out the other side? I mean, I guess in a way. Does that make us winners? Well, I mean, it certainly doesn't make us losers, but it's just the words don't fit correctly. And I'm saying this because, again, we've had a very mild winter here so far, and it's been very fortunate because with the cost of everything being so high right now, I know for a fact that there are people that are rationing what they have, especially if you're using oil heat. Maybe you get your oil filled up, and I mean, I don't know how much it costs. I'm sure it costs more now than it did a couple years ago, but whatever that cost is, let's say it's $500. I feel like I've heard people say 800, but we'll just use five. That's a good number. So you go and you pay your five. If we get a couple of really cold days, those people that know they don't have $500 again, right, to put out for more oil heat, they're gonna try to ration their heat, and uh, people do freeze to death out here. It's a very, very real thing, and uh, in the scenario that I just kind of brought up, ironically enough, they're freezing to death by trying to they end up freezing to death today by trying to not freeze to death tomorrow, right? So I don't know. Sorry. It was just really important to me that I put out there that number one, I do I'm part of the same world that you guys are a part of, and I do see all of the rain outside. When I'm live or when I'm telling stories or when we're talking about cryptids, legends, anything like that, we're inside and we do everything we can to maintain that inside controlled environment. All right, that's for you guys, right? You guys, you can see the rain. You know it's raining outside. Come here and everybody for a time, right? No rain. It's good. But there's been so much rain that it's important that when we hear about other people that maybe are not going to make it through, or maybe when we're forced to say uh, goodbye to people that uh, prematurely, right? You didn't expect something to happen. It's important that we remember in our minds and in our hearts, and because of those two things in our speech, right? That those people were not losers. They were doing their best. They jumped as high as they could, right? But it wasn't high enough. Uh, and that's a sad thing. But in my head, it's a little less sad than if we were like, well, those people they lost and we won, right? Um, yeah, I think I think that's about it. Give me just one moment to collect my thoughts. I am ill, so. Hmm. Oh, there we go. Uh, I don't know if everybody does this or if it's only me, but I do in at the new year, I also take a moment to remember people that were here and now are not. Uh, if you read my community post, right, you know that I lost my buddy Tim, right? He was a great guy. Uh, if you're part of this channel at all, you know about Mike the Naked Bigfoot. I have other friends, you know, that I worked hospice for a while, so I have a lot of friends on the other side. And also, being that I was a funeral director for a time, after dropping out, I went to school. I have a degree in mortuary science. If you are a, oh, it's okay, Sandy. If you are a, oh no, my screen is my light. Um, Goodness, my light turning off made me lose my train of thought. I do apologize. Um, oh, I have an associate's in mortuary science. Uh, and then even like you hear horror stories about funeral directors being disrespectful and whatnot. That's not something that I practiced at all. I was always uh, very kind and gentle, and I do think that I have a lot of favor on the other side because of this, because even strangers, right? Even strangers, I was taking care of them. So, yeah. Pardon me. Okay. Uh, but yeah, being that it's the end of the year, take a moment to remember the people that are and your loved ones, because pets too, that were there but are not anymore. And it's not something that has to be painful or somber. It's more like it's like you're remembering a good thing that can never really happen again. That sounds like a sad thing. It really does, but it's not. I don't think of it as a sad thing. It'd be like if I had a fantastic piece of cake and the baker doesn't bake cakes anymore, and it's like, well, you know, I was lucky to have this at all, right? I was fortunate that it existed at all for me. So, yeah. Thank you all for being here. I'm not going to put any special thumbnail or anything because uh, this really is just for subscribers, right? Like, if you're not a subscriber here, if you don't know me, it's not particularly valuable. So, if you've watched to this point, I'd like to thank you for being a subscriber, being a part of the Super Horror family, uh, and just having the back of your mind in the months to come when I'm sure more terrible things are going to happen, right? We can't avoid it. When you see me come up here and I'm smiling and I do my song and dance, right? And I'm waving and things are happy, it's not that I don't see what's happening. I know what's happening. I just it's just better in my head if we work to keep things normal, right? So, take good care of yourselves and I will see you guys next year.